It began on the edge of map space. The Takar Dominion, a proud and predatory empire, had grown restless. Their warlords had conquered dozens of lesser species, carving entire sectors into ashes. They saw themselves as heirs of destiny, untouchable, eternal, superior. Then they saw humans. A small colony on Keld Prime, 6,000 settlers, nothing more. Farmers, engineers, children, not soldiers, not a threat. The Dominion strike fleet fell upon them with cold precision. Bombardments lit the night sky, oceans boiled, forests turned to ash. Human comm channels screamed for mercy. The Takar laughed. Their flagship broadcast the destruction live across the Dominion's territories, mockery disguised as triumph. "This is what comes of weakness," their admiral boasted. The ape descendants thought themselves safe. They thought their Earth Council mattered. Watch as their courage turns to dust. By dawn, the colony was gone. The Dominion believed it was nothing more than a message, a warning. They didn't understand what they had done. Aye, arrogance on the throne. Across Takar space, the victory was celebrated. Taverns roared with laughter. Politicians praised the decisive strike. Commanders toasted the fear they imagined would paralyze humanity. In council halls, Dominion strategists dismissed Earth as a species with too much restraint. "They negotiate, they debate, they are civilized," one declared with a sneer. "They will send envoys, not fleets." Another chuckled. "Perhaps they will weep at the Senate doors, begging mercy, and we shall demand tribute for the privilege of survival." For the Dominion, this was routine. They had crushed others before, the Aroni, the Jathari, the Kakal. Civilizations older and mightier had bent beneath their clawed boots. Humans were newcomers, a fragile species fresh to the stars. The Takar dismissed the silence from Earth as proof of submission. Weeks passed. No answer came, no declaration, no threats. They mistook silence for fear. But the truth was far colder. Humanity wasn't silent. Humanity was preparing. Aye, the silence breaks. The first signs were subtle. Takar patrols near the frontier vanished without trace. Merchant convoys reported phantom signals that jammed comms before ships were found drifting, gutted by precision strikes. Then came the broadcast. Every Takar relay, every screen across their empire, flickered into static before a single human voice filled the dark. Calm, cold. "You killed our people. You called it justice. Now you will learn ours." The feed cut. Moments later, human dreadnoughts emerged from silent space. Ships the Dominion had only whispered about in intelligence reports. Hulking titans of steel and fire, their hulls etched with scars of wars past. The Dominion scrambled fleets to meet them. They expected skirmishes. They expected delay. Instead, they found annihilation. The fire unleashed. The retaliation was not war, it was execution. Human fleets moved with ruthless precision. Entire Dominion shipyards were erased in a single coordinated strike. Carriers that once blotted out suns were split apart like toys under railgun fire. Orbital stations, once thought impregnable, cracked and fell burning into their planets below. For every human life lost on Keld Prime, a Dominion city burned. For every child scream silenced in the bombardment, a world knew terror. Soldiers on the ground told tales of what they faced. Human shock divisions descended from the skies, black-armored, faceless, unstoppable. They fought like storms given form, tearing through fortifications, leaving no stronghold standing. Above them, human fleets filled the heavens. Missiles like falling stars. Lasers brighter than dawn. railgun slugs that shattered moons. The Dominion learned what it meant when a patient species chose not to restrain its rage. The shattering of empires. Weeks turned into months, and the retaliation spread. The Dominion, once so arrogant, could no longer even mount a defense. Their admirals screamed into calms that never reached their fleets. Their governors begged for reinforcement that never came. Human forces burned a path straight to the Dominion's capital, leaving silence in their wake. Where once there had been endless Takar arrogance, now there was only fear. In the Senate chamber of Takar Prime, the High Warlord spoke trembling words. They were silent, we thought it weakness, but their silence was fire waiting to burn. We woke it, and now nothing can stop it. Civilian populations fled into deep space. Their leaders abandoned them. Even surrender found no answer. Humanity did not pause. It did not negotiate. It did not forgive. Fire without end. The climax came when Earth's fleets arrived above Takar Prime itself. 3 suns vanished behind the sheer mass of warships. An armada greater than anything the Dominion had imagined now blotted out their skis. Broadcasts spread across the galaxy, every signal captured by human hands, every world forced to watch. The Takar capital trembled beneath orbital strikes that fell like divine wrath. Towers shattered, oceans boiled. And in the final moments, as the Dominion's last stronghold fell, a single message thundered across the stars. Human patience is vast, human mercy is real, but spill our blood unprovoked, and you will know vengeance eternal. The city burned, the Dominion ended. The aftermath, whispers in the dark. When the fire finally faded, silence returned. But it was not the silence of arrogance. It was fear. The survivors of the Dominion scattered, broken and voiceless. Refugees whispered in hidden corners of space, "Do not provoke Earth." Other empires, once amused by humanity's diplomacy, trembled as they reviewed the destruction. Worlds that had mocked human restraint now watched every move carefully, speaking softly whenever Earth's name was uttered. One phrase passed from system to system, burned into galactic memory. Their silence is not peace, it is warning. And when it ends, fire follows. The lesson carved in stars. From silence to fire, humanity had answered. Not with measured reprisals, not with diplomacy, but with vengeance so absolute that the galaxy itself stood in awe. The Takar Dominion was gone, their maps erased, their pride broken. But their legacy lived on, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as the eternal warning of what comes when one underestimates the humans of Earth. And so the galaxy learned the truth, whispered in every dark corner of space. Human patience is vast, but their vengeance is infinite. It began with arrogance. The Cathari Dominion, an empire swollen with conquest and dripping with disdain for younger species, looked upon humanity as a curiosity. They had studied Earth's history, catalogued its endless wars, and dismissed the species as dangerous only to themselves. In their grand councils, humanity was labeled primitive aggressors cloaked in civility, unfit to wield influence among the stars. So when the Cathari struck, they did so with laughter. The colony of Cygnus Reach, one of humanity's most vibrant frontier settlements, was reduced to glass under a storm of plasma bombardments. Families, scientists, and traders were incinerated without warning. The defenders were outnumbered and outgunned, and the Cathari fleets lingered long enough to broadcast their victory. The Dominion's admirals mocked the desperate cries of civilians, calling them the mewling of a species too weak to keep what it builds. Not content with massacre, they captured Earth's diplomatic envoy to the Orion Pact. In full broadcast to half the galaxy, they executed the delegation, ambassadors, translators, even aides, mocking Earth's vaunted civilized restraint. And when the last transmission ended, the Cathari withdrew. They believed humanity had been taught its place. Celebration in the Dominion. The halls of Cathari power echoed with triumph. Celebrations erupted across their core worlds, fleets paraded, and banners of victory were unfurled. In council chambers, their strategists assured the people, "Earth will do nothing. They will rage in words, not deeds. They are a species bound by hesitation, crippled by their own morality. They have no stomach for vengeance." They feasted on arrogance. On every broadcast, their leaders ridiculed humanity. "The Terrans," one High Lord sneered, "are a people who write songs about mercy. Let them write ballads for their dead while we claim their colonies." The Dominion's soldiers laughed at the thought of Terran warships, rusting tin cans, they called them. The Dominion's admirals swore that humanity lacked both numbers and willpower to fight back. To them, Earth was a spark that could never catch flame. And so the galaxy watched and waited. For days, Earth was silent. No declarations of war, no visible mobilization, no threats of vengeance, just silence. The Dominion mistook it for fear. The silence breaks. The first sign came quietly. A ripple in deep space comms, encrypted bursts of code that rippled across human colonies. Automated manufacturing facilities, once running at standard pace, surged to maximum output. Shipyards that had been silent for decades roared to life, constructing hulls at a speed unseen since the great Terran wars of centuries past. The galaxy dismissed it as panic. Until the fleets began to move. From Mars' orbital rings rose titanic dreadnoughts, ships thought to exist only in legend. The Erebus, the Nemesis, the Oblivion, monsters of steel and fire, their hulls thick enough to shrug off anything short of planetary weaponry. From the Luna shipyards came swarms of cruisers, sleek and bristling with weapons no alien had ever seen.